Yo, what's up guys? It's Terrell here from Terrell Game Vlogs. This is well, first off I want to say Happy Thanksgiving. For those who don't celebrate Thanksgiving or don't live in America, how you doing? Good day? Good day. It's Thanksgiving for us. Also, those who don't celebrate Thanksgiving but live in the U.S., you probably at the very least got off from work or school because it's Thanksgiving. So even if you don't celebrate the holiday, awesome for you getting a day off from work or school, whatever. Hope you guys are enjoying yourselves and preparing for the madness that will happen tonight/tomorrow and probably the next day afterwards, which is known as Black Friday, which is the day where we Americans show how weak and petty we are and we murder each other for TVs and washing machines and video games and pretty much anything that was on fucking sale. For those who don't know, I've had my 3DS for a year tomorrow because I actually bought my 3DS on Black Friday at Target, and the first game I got for it was Kid Icarus Uprising, which baffles me a little bit just because it's been a fucking year. It doesn't feel like it's been a year, but it's been a year since I've had my 3DS, which makes me want to do a 3DS retrospective, which I may do. I don't know, depends. It may come after this video. But this video is video game related. I want to talk about the next gen because actually next year, I mean not next year, but tomorrow also marks the first week the Xbox One has officially been out, and 2 weeks since the PS4 has been out, and obviously we know the Wii U's been out for about a year. I wanted to talk about next gen and my thoughts on it, whether I'm getting a PS4 and Xbox One, because it's pretty much tomorrow and like Christmas time that if people are going to buy these consoles like hardcore, these are the two times they're going to do it. So here's my thing. In terms of me buying an Xbox One or PlayStation 4, not this year. Honestly, I could say this with no regrets. The only game I think I'm even looking remotely forward to is Kingdom Hearts 3. And that game's not going to be out for another 2 years. I know there's an Uncharted game coming out. I know the order 1886 or 1866. I like the concept, but it was one of the reasons why I didn't give Sony really any props for bringing it up during the conference, because we didn't see gameplay of it. We literally just saw a fucking trailer, and I was like, well, it sounds cool if I could fucking see it. And I know a lot of people are like, well, you know, they've already announced that they're going to have games next year. I'm not really worried about them not having games. I'm worried about them having games I give a fuck about. Another thing I want to bring up with the PS4 is that when I eventually do get the consoles, because to me, I've always been a Sony Nintendo guy, so I know I'm going to get one. It probably just won't be anytime soon for money, and there's no reason to buy a PS4 right now. Not for me anyway, because everything else is a fucking multi-plat or a title I don't care for. Like, I've never been into Infamous, I've never been into Killzone. Knack does not look that... Knack looks like a weird cross between a beat-em-up and a platformer. It kind of looks like a toned-down Bayonetta in that sense. In that sense. Not like complete gameplay styles, I'm just saying in that sense. It just looks like a glorified tech demo. It doesn't look that interesting of a game. I think it's the most interesting game they have currently out that I would care for. Just not interesting enough to make me want to spend $400 for it. But regarding that, I think PS4 might be the first console I try to just do all digital for. I might. I think the only game I really, as I said, Kingdom Hearts might be the only game I physically buy something for. Plus that, we have the Remix Collection regarding Kingdom Hearts coming out, I think, next year. The 2.5, which I believe includes Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, Birth by Sleep. There's probably one other game I'm not sure of, but I know it includes those two games, and that's enough for me, because for one, Kingdom Hearts 2 is my favorite. Like, to me, Kingdom Hearts 2 beats the shit out of Kingdom Hearts 1, like, indefinitely. Even with the Roxas shit we're getting. And Birth by Sleep is like one of the only side games a lot of people say you should play, and I haven't played because I was not buying a PSP for just that fucking game. So, yeah. So in terms of PS4, eventually, but not now. Like, they had to announce some really cool shit next year for me to justify getting it next year. Because it looks like I'm probably not going to get it until like around the time Kingdom Hearts 3 is either announced. And I know they got Final Fantasy and Metal Gear Solid 5. So I can understand people waiting. But like as far as launch, no. Especially because, and this is what I find ridiculous. People gave the Wii U so much shit for having launch titles that you either already own or you could get on the other consoles. But for some reason, it's justified on the PS4 and Xbox One because the graphics are better. That's literally the only difference between most of these games, is that the graphics are better. And on my Xbox One side, fuck ton of microtransactions. Granted, those are what they're, I think, exclusives, but still, like, what the fuck? The only game on the Xbox One I would want to play is Killer Instinct, and I'm not that dedicated into fighters to really pay for that. Forza 5, I heard, is a microtransaction hell, and I don't care for races that damn much. I think races and fighters are like the ones on the most in-depth. No, races and shooters are like my worst genre. I will dabble in fighters, and I will dabble in races, but races kind of hit that mid-ground with me. Those are like my three worst genres in terms of gaming. Xbox One, I have no justification for it. For someone who does, I think it's because pretty much Microsoft's whole push with the TV is the same problem the Wii U has with the tablet. It's gimmicking on something that no one really gives a shit about anymore. Something that isn't really inherently cool. Most people who are gamers are more into online. So it's like, why would you push this console for the center of your entertainment room when most people don't even use like cable or television anymore? Most people are using internet. So it's like, the TV aspect of your console is pretty much almost dead in the water. The only people who are going to really fuck with this are people who still use TV. Most people fucking use Netflix or Hulu now. So it's like, I just thought that concept was stupid. But that's besides the point. You know, whatever. You know, they have Rise, they have Forza, they have Killer Instinct, and then they have a fuck ton of multiplats. So I could see people more justifying that, but it's like extra $100 more and it gives you a fucking peripheral you really don't want to use. All the reviews I've seen of that damn thing, no one really wants to use. They think it's a cool idea, but it's not really implemented well, and on top of that, just no one wants to fucking use. So, as far as next gen is concerned, probably just going to be Sony and Nintendo. I could already see that, but I guess we should talk about some of the issues that these consoles are probably going to face next year. And I'm talking about in terms of games. Well, with Nintendo, I'm kind of talking hardware, but I'm also just talking in games. This has probably been the most streamlined Nintendo has been since... well, in a while, actually. If people were thinking, oh, you're bullshitting. No, think about it. When you look at Nintendo's previous consoles, they all had, this is the most streamlined to third parties that we've had. Because everything else has been this fucking, oh, we're not using CDs. Oh, we're not using the normal size CDs. Oh, no, we're not using Blu-ray discs or discs that we don't have an HD gaming console yet. Oh, the online is shit. This is the most streamlined Nintendo has been for third parties and other people besides Nintendo, which is cool. It's just that they're probably gonna get. I think they'll probably have better third party than they have had in a while, but it probably will still end up being what the Wii was for the most part, which is not a console that plays Nintendo games, but a Nintendo gaming console. Which, if you know the difference, you know. So Nintendo really is going to be working on pretty much what Sony and Microsoft have been working on for the last 7 to 6 years, which is their online structure, their interaction with their customers, just all the features and small things about the Wii U is what they're going to have to fix. Really, the gaming side of things isn't going to be that big of an issue. From what I've been hearing, they're working on multiple new IPs. Whether those IPs are anything we give a shit about, we'll have to wait and see. And we already have a decent lineup for next year, you know, with Bayonetta, X, Shin Megami Tensei, Cross Fire Emblem, Mario Kart 8, Donkey Kong. We have a good lineup. Like, if we have one game a year, if we have one game a month, I think we're pretty good. But it just really depends on if we can keep that momentum going and if they're going to... And then we have Reggie coming out next year. I mean, coming out, I think, was it December 7th is the VGX Awards teasing something, which is probably a new Zelda, which people are going to lose their shit over. So we're not. Nintendo has the parts for it. They just gotta stop being all on the left and try to come in on the right a little bit to get everyone to like them more, or to like them at all at this point. Microsoft, you know, for Microsoft gamers, I don't think some of you care, but I would hope for this generation they wouldn't do what they did last generation, which is when they came out with a fuck ton of exclusives, and then everything became third party, I think, around halfway through its life cycle, to the point where if you were buying a 360, for exclusives, the only 2 games you really want, the only 3 games you wanted was a Forza game, a Halo game, and a fucking Gears of War game. And there have been rumors about how Gears of War may not stay like exclusive. So that's like 2 franchises. So if they could be a little bit more consistent with their exclusives and give me more of a reason to buy it, they could do better. But once again, you won't be able to really judge Microsoft's situation until about the 2nd or 3rd year into this console's lifespan to see really how they're going to handle this generation. And Sony's biggest issue right now is, to me, kind of not as bad as Microsoft, but they really got to come up with some more interesting IPs. Because let's think about it. Uncharted debuted on the PS3, and we've had 4 games in the Uncharted series within the PS3 generation. One of those being a PS Vita title, and then we're getting the 4th game like next year, probably next year, 2015. I'm not totally sure when. I'm like, don't go into this shit again. Like, no bullshit. Sony, do not go into this shit where you introduce an IP and you oversaturate it within a generation. Because it's not like, see, the difference between Sony IPs and Nintendo IPs is that Sony IPs usually try to go for that cinematic movie style quality, meaning to reiterate that multiple times is more challenging than to reiterate something like Metroid or Zelda or Mario. And when you oversaturate like hardcore stories, you kind of get drained. Which is why a lot of people didn't like Uncharted 3 as much as they liked Uncharted 2. It's the same kind of problem. So I want them to diversify themselves a little bit. Meaning I want them to delve into that cartoony style that they were fucking with around the PS1 and some of the PS2 days, where they didn't try to focus all on the cinematic flair. Because I like Sony when it does both. Sony, I thought, had a good balance, and then it just went really into the right side with that shit. I don't think they have the rights to Crash. I'm not sure they have the rights to Spyro. But, you know, and they just introduced some more IPs. I mean, I think Knack is going in the right direction. Just make it a little bit more cartoony than that, because I feel like Knack is one of those series that looks like it's not taking itself seriously, but it's not trying to not take itself seriously either. Like, it doesn't know what it wants to do. Like, I feel like Knack probably has a sense of identity crisis. I'm not sure. Those are really my biggest issues. Like, in terms of features and shit, I feel like Xbox One and PS4 don't really have that much of an issue. That's like Nintendo's main problem, is the features and getting your console up to snuff with everyone else. I think that's what the Wii U's, for the most part, mainly going to struggle with. The first year was pretty fucking bad. I think any Nintendo fan can agree. We got some good games out of it, but overall the year was nothing to really scoff at. For the most part, it was wasted. If anything, you could say is that at least they had a year to fuck up, so they wouldn't fuck up with the other 2 consoles out in the market. But that's about it. I hope they just take this experience and move forward with it. Microsoft and Sony, we kind of have to just wait and see. With all these hardware failures and all this other dumb shit, it's kind of like, we'll see how this goes, but it's probably going to be Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo for me in terms of this generation. And as I said, I'm not really looking forward to that many fucking Sony titles. As I said, the only one I'm really looking forward to is Kingdom Hearts, because I've never been into Metal Gear or Final Fantasy. Granted, I may try Final Fantasy because it's kind of like Shin Megami Tensei, where you don't have to play the previous games to get it. So, I mean, I tried Fire Emblem Awakening. That was my first Fire Emblem game, and I loved the shit out of that. So, I'll be more inclined. But still, as I said, I need something for next year. I don't need, we got games coming. I don't need to hear that. I need to know what games they are, and why I should buy them on your console. And for those who bought their consoles now, I hope you're enjoying them. For me, I just can't justify buying. Listen, if I couldn't do it for the Wii U, why the fuck would I do it for the PS4? It's like, oh man, they got fucking Assassin's Creed and Battlefield and fucking Call of Duty. I'm like, well, I can get all those games on the consoles I already own. PS3 or Wii U, whatever. So why in the fuck would I even bother? like if I'm not going to justify it for those consoles, why would I justify it for these consoles? But and that's just something I never understood, but whatever. You know, to each their own. But that's really pretty much my thoughts. As I said, hope you're enjoying your holiday. Don't eat too much, even though I know that's a lie, because I'm going to do that later on the night. I've had like my first round of food. We're going back for like second and thirds, probably after this video. So this has been the vlogs again for your boy Terrell. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.